I prefer to have a certain setup when I'm using Logic, and you may too as well. And to do that, we use our preference window. So I'm going to go here to Logic, we'll select Preferences, and I'm going to go to General here, which opens the window totally, right? So here we are, I'm going to go to General, and we have Project Handling. This is an important preference for me. It says Startup Action. So when Logic starts up, and okay, I got a project I'm doing, or do I want a new project? I don't know. I'm confused. Nope. The best thing to do for me is to have Ask. But let's look at the options. We can have Do Nothing or Open Most Recent Project. I select that. Every time Logic opens up, it'll bring up my last project. Or I can always say here, just ask me and I'll know what to do for that situation in that time too when it comes up. We also have editing here. I can change some editing parameters. The number of undos for one. I prefer to have 100 undos. That way I have enough undos. If I get into a song and I erase, cut out, change the mix, do this, I'm going to go back far enough where I can say, well, let's hear how it sounded a little before then. I think we did too much here or there or whatever. We can add last edit functions to region names. We have Fade Tool, Click Zones. So here we'll go over more of this as we start dealing with automation and, of course, with MIDI parameters when editing. Next, we have audio. We went through audio already where we had the output device and our input device. And we set up our core audio system. Below that, though, we have our I/O buffer. Now, the buffer size means that it's going to take some time and uses a certain amount of CPU power in order to create these sample rates we have right here. So samples, right? 64 samples. Now, if I go to here and I have 512 samples, you'll notice that my resulting latency is going to be 25.6 milliseconds. Now, this is calculated value that equals the acoustic latency when standing, let's say, 8.76 meters away from something, right? So you'll have a latency that's natural sometimes. I'm standing away from a particular, let's say, a singer, you're in the background or you're on stage, right? But this is latency internally within the system. So that means that the CPU power is converting the audio into digital, and it takes a little bit of time to do that, so you can hear it back at the same time while the music plays, which is kind of amazing actually anyway. And so here, for example, I go back to the 4 samples, and wow, we're at 5.3 milliseconds, which is a really short period of time. So when doing vocals, we want to be at lower samples. And when mixing, I'm using my mixing system, I want to mix up some music, I want to be at a little bit higher rate here, so I can use more CPU power for my buffer size. And standard, I might go just with 128. Now below that we have our 24-bit recording, software monitoring, and input monitoring only for focused tracks. It means I selected this track here, I'm focused on that track, and so I have my record enabled on. And so we want to input monitor, hear back what's on that track, or as I'm playing the guitar, I want to hear what's on that track and then press record, and I'm punching myself into the track, which we'll do later on. We also have score. We have movie automation setups here, as you can see here. And we have my info, and we have advanced. Now in advanced, we want to have this show advanced tools feature selected because it enables advanced features. This includes project alternatives and backups. We want to constantly back up in case we have a problem, the power cuts out, or our computer crashes. We're going to make sure of a backup of the last available session. Then we have beat mapping, expanded mix and automation capabilities as well. So I keep this one selected. Now also we have surround sound here. I can unselect that and we don't have it. I'll select it again and we do. And you notice when I do that, Logic cuts out and comes back because it's adding the surround sound to it. This is a very new feature to it. So here, let me close this window up and we're looking at an audio track here. And here's my stereo track. And you'll notice here under output, I have surround sound now. See that? That's surround sound. I can select surround sound for that particular track. I go to audio track here, this drum track here. I can go here and I can select surround sound here for the drums and play it back. Now I'm going to go back here to preferences, go to advanced tools, and I can turn it off. Leave disabled or enabled? Leave disabled.